Hi, how are you?
Hello. I'm great. Okay. Wonderful. The world of technology.
I know, so sorry you had some difficulty there. Um, it's just it's crazy sometimes. There's so many things going on, but thankfully you are here now. I'm glad. How's your day going?
Wonderful. Thanks for asking. I'm glad I'm here and we're all good.
Yes,
So exciting.
absolutely. Wonderful. So it's a beautiful day and you are here in Edmonton, I believe now.
Right today, right now, I'm actually in Kelowna. Just right now, I am. Yes, I was here for some things that I had to deal with, so I'm here,
Right.
and it's nice weather here too, though. It's definitely beautiful. The lake is glistening. It's beautiful.
Yes, definitely. It's great. And yesterday was a very good weather too. And day before it as well, we took the kids to the park. They could finally be outside, get some fresh air, and play in the park. It was just wonderful for a change.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that can happen in November.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I actually had an idea that it's going to snow crazy in maybe December. I hope maybe in January, but we don't
Yeah,
know.
pushed off as much as possible,
Oh
right?
yes, yes. Just yesterday, me and my husband, we were just discussing like this last winter we had about like almost 9 months of cold and snow. It was like almost 9 months. That's a long time, yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, we are definitely in a cold, cold part of the country.
Yeah, it is. But it is what it is. So no complaints. It's always wonderful.
Yeah, it is what it is right. But I mean, we somehow we manage, don't we?
We have to. We don't have any other options.
Choice,
So
yeah.
so of course, yeah, we have to manage. How was your day today? What was going on? What are some of the projects, or I'd say, what is going on in life as a pharmacist, as a speaker? What's going on?
Well, I've been kind of blessed in a lot of ways that I have, with my career in pharmacy, I've encountered and met so many people that from patients all the way up to executives. And what's interesting in my little world is that it never amazes me that there's just so much going on in healthcare and so much in social media that it's really important to decipher where you can make a difference
Hmm.
in as a business owner and how you can access these tools that we never did have 20 years ago or even 10 years ago
Hmm.
that can really propel your message and what you're trying to accomplish
Hmm. Right.
in your journey. And I think that's really it's something kind of new and it's outstanding to me that we have these tools, because
Hmm.
leveraging the ability to bring in a community into your expertise
Right.
allows people's lives to be changed. And I just think as healthcare professionals, we have such an amazing impact on really making sure that information and education for patients and people that require it get it proper, in the sense of like
Mm-hmm.
they don't do things to harm themselves. And I think it's really important for us to be the advocates to that message. The you wouldn't mix these two drugs together. So just
Right.
because it's on a TikTok reel or something, like it's really up to us as healthcare professionals as well to support patients who are maybe struggling and are at their wits end and will try anything
Right.
to help them so they don't get to that point where then they try something and it hurts them worse, because
Yes.
it's very general in social media. It's not specific to you. And I think that's really the key. Is a lot of things are out there. Yeah, there's a lot of medications, but that doesn't mean it's the right fit for you. And I think as healthcare professionals,
Exactly.
that's where we really make a difference, to make sure that we are customizing and educating a patient based on their needs.
Yes, so that all comes under enhancing patient safety. And I think that's the major part of your job you're doing as a clinical pharmacist.
Yeah, well, I'm a certified patient safety officer.
Mm-hmm.
So that role and in learning that really opened my eyes to how operations need to really focus on the culture of safety and efficiency, how you as a patient should access the healthcare system so that you have a lens of safety on it, as well as, when we're talking to patients as pharmacists, how do we put safety at the forefront? And what does that look like in our journey in helping the patient?
Right.
And understanding that we can make mistakes and not being feeling the feelings of being like shamed for it or feeling like you're a failure at something because you've made an error, rather learning from that. So that encompasses that whole aspect of being a patient safety officer. It's as a healthcare professional, what do we do to make the system safer? How do we as healthcare professionals ourselves navigate when we make a mistake? What does that mean? How do we make it better for us as healthcare professionals so we don't feel so defeated?
Right.
How does the organization manage those errors? And how do we manage that conversation with patients? And how do we prevent patients from making errors too? There's also that education piece. There's a lot of value when you hand a medication to a client and you explain them, this is how you take it, yada, yada, 3 times a day with food, but also explaining to them this medication does have these potential side effects, but if you are going to mix it with something else or you are going to try it with something else, you really need to be aware of these things, which often they are not aware of those things. We don't talk about how do you take your medication with gummies or marijuana, or how do you take the medication with alcohol, or what should you do if you're going to, not use any of those things, but you're going to go use a herbal product. What does that look like? We don't really always have those conversations, but that's the aspect of safety in taking medications as well. How do you prevent medication mishaps? It's not just our job to talk about that specific medication, but rather what is actually all going on in your life and how would those decisions that you're making in other aspects, including food, impact the safety of that medication.
Of course, there's like different factors, and when you talk about communication with your patients and your community and being connected, and of course, we have responsibility as healthcare providers and also working in the social media space. In this space, the biggest thing is connecting with your community. And how do you do that? By using the power of social media, which is like so accessible now, because there are so many barriers when it comes to patients. Maybe some of them are home ridden, right, bedridden, and they cannot come out of their houses to talk to somebody. They don't have appointments. But if somebody is so accessible via social media, like yourself, right? So they can, maybe if they are out on social media, they can address the questions and concerns the patients have by using this technology. I think that makes life so much easier for the patients, and also our work, which like you are doing as a clinical pharmacist and a certified safety officer. I think it can be much easier if you are more connected via social media or digitally with your patients. Do you think that's possible and that's better?
Well, I think that the accessibility piece has always been a forefront of pharmacy profession. We're always the most accessible healthcare professional.
Right.
You can walk in without an appointment.
Yes.
And to any pharmacy and speak to a pharmacist.
Right.
I think what you're addressing is the people who don't have the ability to walk into a pharmacy and access that care. How else can they access pharmacists? And yeah, there is this whole world of telehealth and telemedicine and making sure that now when we have these conversations with patients, it's done in a way where, we still obviously protect the confidentiality route because we have to by law, but also because it makes the most sense. You don't want that information out there. But, there is situations where sometimes a patient needs to speak to someone and they don't have a caregiver, and a phone call doesn't cut it. So sometimes you'll jump on a telehealth call and you'll have a face-to-face discussion with someone, And I think that that is better than not having the discussion at all.
Of course, yeah.
Because there's a lot of situations where, you know, if you think back 5-6 years ago, well, that wasn't considered an actual patient interaction.
Right.
But the bottom line is, if we want to continue to grow in the space of being the most accessible, there are a lot of people that have no ability to come in and no ability to have a caregiver. So we can't leave them out. There's a large percentage of people that require face-to-face, and sometimes we're the only face-to-face people that they're speaking to.
Of course,
So
yes.
there's also that social interaction that pharmacists provide that sometimes have nothing to do with medications. I mean, I'm
Right.
sure there's lots of pharmacists out there that'll say, oh yeah, he calls all the time, or he comes in just to say hi.
Yeah, I know.
We are, you know, we're the hub of a social interaction
Yeah.
as well. And we know that the social detriments of health are far worse, you know, it's said millions of times, than smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. So even if it's a 5-minute conversation that you're having with a patient on the telephone, or you're doing something like, you know, a Zoom call, or you're even just getting on with telehealth, these things are so vital to patients' health. And we don't realize that connection also helps to build your community pharmacy and center you in the community, because they'll say things like, oh yeah, my medications are delivered, but I've never seen the pharmacist.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
it'd be nice to put a face to a name.
Of
and
course.
So why not use these resources is the question when it's available. It's an actual fantastic tool to actually connect face to face with your clients without costing very much money at all. It's not a huge investment.
Yes, of course it is. We have Hamad here, and he'd like to add to our conversation. Hello, Hamad. How are you doing?
Hello. Great conversation. Thank you very much. And I fully agree on the accessibility part. And you know, I use my pharmacist often. You know, I just go and talk to him. It's a family-owned pharmacy nearby, and it really. So I enjoy going there. You know, I moved from Costco to this one because, you know, of course, when you go to a bigger pharmacy, they don't recognize you. You know, they're there to help you, but they don't recognize you. And as a South Asian, and this also is owned by a South Asian couple. It's like I think with this kind of a family-owned pharmacy, you develop some kind of a relationship. You know, you like going there, and you're more open for any consultation. And given the pressure on clinics, going to a pharmacist actually saves us a lot of time. And often you don't have to even like get medication because, you know, you may be worried that something is happening, and it's not pharmacist assessment is that it's not something that you should take medicine for. So I think this is a great role the pharmacists are playing, particularly in our society in Canada. And in other countries as well, pharmacists can play a major role. Just to augment the conversation, even doctors can use social media to whatever the local regulations are. And I know one doctor who used to be my client long time ago from the US, Dr. Mulani, and he actually was focused on helping families manage elderly people, basically. So, and he would talk about, you know, how do you change nappies, how do you change clothes for people who are suffering and stuff, you know, what to feed them, what not to feed them, stuff like that. And he's become quite a popular, like, you know, a doctor who people just go to and listen to his podcasts and stuff like that. So it's a great profession, number one. Number two is, I think pharmacists are actually playing a great role. So congratulations to you, both of you. You both are pharmacists, and I say yes, social media can definitely play a big role. So make the best use of it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Ahmad, and thank you for the edition. It is a wonderful edition, and I believe as well that in today's world, social media is so powerful, and oftentimes it is free. So people who are, they can actually use telemedicine as well, but they can actually, I'm thinking, be connected via social media as well, because part of what I am doing as well is automating a lot of pharmacies' websites, kind of having chatbots in there for a 24-hour access. And people, of course, when it's off timings, they have a question, like a general question about the pharmacy or about their medication. Their questions are recorded and they are addressed when the pharmacy is open the next day, so they don't get unnoticed. This is very powerful, I think. And also by simply using, posting on Facebook and your Instagram pages, some general tips, people just feel they are more connected with the pharmacy and their relationship is stronger. I truly believe that is very powerful. The people who are using this and they're out there, the patient must think that they are more and more accessible than the people or the pharmacy owners that are not using this approach. What do you think, Lydia? Is it valuable to use that approach at all for pharmacists?
But I think the whole space of, look, the most important thing you can do as a pharmacist is connect with your community. We think back to when community pharmacies were the main hub. When you look, there was a bank, there was the doctor's office, and there was the pharmacy, right? Those were kind of, and then maybe a restaurant or a coffee shop. That was the hub of a community. So fast forward to today, it's still the hub of a community. So just because it's gone to a social media route doesn't mean you shouldn't be within that community. It actually means that's now where the landscape is. You're not walking down Main Street, you're going into social media. And what that means is different for different pharmacies and different owners. But as pharmacists, like I said before, the communication piece is so important, and developing your community, whether that's your Facebook page or as a pharmacist you have your website where you can have that interaction, because now we're so used to doing things, not necessarily walking into a pharmacy. We want to reorder something, we do it on an app. We want to talk to a pharmacist, we want to click a button, we want to send a message. These tools now is the main street of our community, and it's vital that you're part of it. We might think, well, it goes against my values. I don't want to be on social media. I don't want to engage that way. But the fact of the reality is you have to shift your mindset to look at social media as the way that your pharmacy is going to still impact your patients and how you can have access to them and they can have access to you. It's vital that you move into that space in order to stay credible and to keep your community intact.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And when you use the word app, I just want to say I work with a lot of independent pharmacy owners, and they do not have an app where people can actually reorder their medication or refills, send them a prescription through the app. They are not using that app. So I cannot emphasize enough on why the app is necessary and versus just, coming to the pharmacy back and forth or calling the pharmacist where half the time the pharmacist is not able to take your call, or they're busy, or they miss you, or you have to wait a couple hours for somebody to take care of you, and then maybe that's the reason they are going to the bigger chains like we have in Edmonton and in Canada, like Shoppers Drug Mart or Costco or Walmart Pharmacy. We have Yasser. He'd like to add something to our discussion. Please, Yasser, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you so much for letting me speak up. And I was enjoying your conversation. Although I may not be entirely up to date with the modern pharmaceutical or what how modern pharmacists work. But it's really nice and engaging conversation that you two were having. I just wanted to know, in the context of using these strategies, how have your experience been in the use of AI now? So, for someone who's entirely new to the digital realm, so maybe how is AI impacting your marketing of pharmaceuticals?
Yes, thank you for that question, Yasir. Are you using AI at all, Lydia, or in your practice?
Well, one of the things that definitely we've been able to incorporate is tools that make, documenting clinical things like, when you do a care plan and you have to document a follow-up, there are tools where AI is used where the filling in of all of those requirements is done through an AI system. And it really helps because it prompts you to ask the correct question. It prompts you to capture the data that you need in order to make an impact for the next follow-up visit. It really is something where, again, we're just at the cusp of starting this. I kind of relate it back to, maybe when the internet just first started and people were like, what is this? What will this do? We still don't know everything that AI is going to do, but we do know that AI can help us really do things more safely and more efficiently. And that's what that equates to, is being able to service more people within our community. So it is something where, if, like we talked about, applications, software that uses AI, the ability to have patients fill out forms where AI can ask the questions and then populate based on their answers what some of the things would be that they could incorporate into their diet and things like that. It's so important. It's going to be really, really critical. And I think as pharmacists, we are going to be able to access things like, instead of looking up, resources where we look up necessarily like having to look up in, let's say, bugs and drugs or some of these resources, we'll be able to put in the information based on our particular client and their challenges and have AI systems spit out to us kind of what are the things that you as a pharmacist need to now intervene with and have a discussion and interaction with the patient on. I think it is a Google search, but it becomes so much more for us as pharmacists because it really hones into what we need to do in order to help the patient. It's quicker, it's more efficient, it analyzes so much information, and it saves so much time. So we can become more impactful in our messaging and in helping our patients.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I think making us more proficient and saving our time, saving the staff, by the way, that is very important. Saving dollars on the staff, and, not just the staff, but, the staff can be doing more important things, like actually communicating with the patients or addressing their concerns. How we are using as a marketer for the independent pharmacy, just like I said, we are definitely using the chat bots that are installed onto their websites and on their social medias. So when somebody comes, or a potential patient comes, or potential client comes asking about a certain medication, or just like, simple questions like about your hours of the pharmacy operation, like what times are you open, and is there a prescribing pharmacist, do you have a certain medication, do you deal with like this kind of vaccination, simple questions like these. We are automating this, and the chatbots are learning answers to those questions, and they already answer to the patient, and then they make a report which the pharmacist or the staff can see the next day. Another thing which is very important for the independent pharmacies is that the review request. As soon as the patient comes in and then they leave the pharmacy, the patient automatically gets a review request where they can give a 5-star, a 4-star, a 3-star rating to the business, and definitely that helps a lot to the business itself, because lots of times the independent pharmacies and pharmacists are working so hard to make a change in the community, but they want to see if they're getting the results, the reviews, that the feedback for their services. So that is also very important. And of course, everybody should have calendars where patients can actually go ahead and put appointments for a consultation or for flu shots, for simple tasks like this. And there should not be a person taking the phone call and answering simple questions where it could be answered by using technology. So this is very important, I think. And also using the apps, people who are using this, they are doing wonders in terms of business, and they're getting definitely more success than the people who are not. So this is all AI. And of course, automated posts and health tips, just coming in front of the community and showing that you care, you are there, and just automating your post for the 24 hours period. After every 8 hours, the patients see your post about your pharmacy, thinking that, hey, you are there and you are so accessible, you are available. So all of these things make a big difference, I think.
Yeah, and I also think that there's a misconception that, seniors don't necessarily engage in social media, or they're not, proficient in using an iPhone or any type of phone to access these apps. And I think that's a misconception, because I can tell you there's lots of patients that can do circles around me on this stuff. So it isn't just because the younger generations growing up with these tools are able to use them. There are a lot of people that are using these tools. And if you're primarily dealing with seniors, that does not equate to them not using these tools. In fact, they use them as well. So I think it's really important to make sure that you're not having a misperception of, well, how many people are actually going to use this. If it's available, they're going to use it. It's just like, if you're going to build the arena, people are going to come play in it. It's the same thing. And I think it's really important to not, use these because you think somebody, my population isn't going to require this, or they just like to make a phone call. No, if that's all that's available, then that's what they have to use. But if you have these other things available, they will use them. And I think it's also educating them and letting them know, I'm here this way, we can use it this way. I think it makes a big difference. It makes the connection better. And as a community pharmacist, if you want to be connected to your patients, that accessibility in any arena that you can make that happen is going to be an advantage. And it's not costly. Like, I don't think people realize that a lot of these things do not cost a lot to onboard, and it's not difficult to do. And a lot of the technology has already been played out. It's kind of like you're not buying the big brand new shiny TV. These things have been around, and it's not as costly as it was maybe when it first came out. So I think investigating how you can use social media and AI softwares and automating things so that it's easier for patients and better for you and your staff as well. And let's just also lay in the fact that it becomes safer because it's more efficient, is critical in this day and age to making your pharmacy an integral part of the community.
Yes, definitely. And there's 2 points definitely you highlight about the about being it costly. First of all, investment. You really have to think where you are investing and what results you are getting. Even if it is expensive, look at the amount of time it can save for you and your staff. Maybe you can save money hiring a new staff member by just implementing these tools. Maybe you can get, and of course, you do get more business if you are more proficient, more reliable, more out there, more famous. Of course, you have to be out there to let people know that you are available and accessible and proficient and faster in responding. So many other businesses, there's like percentage of 60% of businesses, they do not get new patients or clients because they do not take their phones. They do not have somebody available to take the phones because they are busy doing something else or it's off after hours. But by using AI, they can actually get a text back if somebody misses your call. You can simply get a text back that, hey, I'm sorry we missed your call. Is there something that we can do? That shows that you care. You do need patience and you are there available to help them out, and it is so much beneficial for the customers to just text them back, and then you get their information, and then of course you can respond them or call them back the next day. And also about age, I'm just going to add, my father, he's over 60, and I think he uses a lot of TikTok and he watches more reels than I do because that population, I'd like to say over 60 and over 70, mostly they are retired, you can say, or they do not have a lot going on. So social media, they are out there. And if you're trying to target them, that's the best channels.
Oh, absolutely. I think there's, like I said, there's this misconception, and that's what it
Yes.
is. There is absolutely, what you talk about is exactly what has to happen. We need to really put in digital strategies for pharmacies nowadays, and it's critical. And you're right. Like, think about if we were to data enter or type instead of data enter into a computer system all of the patient's information. That would be impossible. We would never be able to fill prescriptions at that pace and be able to connect. We would be stuck behind a typewriter. Well, of course, that was the next phase. We went from typewriter to a computer system, and then the computer system could batch, and then it can do automatic refills, and then it can track, and it can put, interactions. Well, this is kind of that exact same thing. You're becoming more efficient, you're becoming safer, and you're being able to access more people into your community, and that is critical. I can't emphasize enough in all of my years of practicing pharmacy and being an owner operator that building out your community and your niche and really being present requires that everything at the back end needs to flow. And if that means that you buy a PackMed machine because now you're packaging quicker and better and more easier, in the sense of safety and efficiency, that's how you should be looking at a pharmacy business. How do I make an impact where I am at the forefront of my community? I'm the lead person, and I'm not hiding and being whelmed with all of these other tasks that I have to do, but don't need to do because it could become automated and save your time so that you're at the forefront. You should be the person at that counter or, on that social media where people connect with you. That's the critical piece to making it in pharmacy today.
Yeah, that is so important. You should be handling more important tasks. You should not be a machine, but rather use machines to help you out.
Right.
Very, very important and very interesting. And I just want to say that I really, really enjoyed today's conversation. And I'm also recording it, and it will be uploaded on my website as an audio podcast. So people who were not able to enjoy today's conversation, they can definitely go on the website and take advantage of all the wonderful things we learned from Lidia. And just want to thank you so much, Lidia, for coming out here today and talking to us on LinkedIn Live. It really means a lot to me and my audience.
Well, it was a pleasure. I really do love the things that you're doing and advocating for pharmacists and ultimately for the safety of our patients. And I think healthcare professionals need to take that responsibility. And I really appreciate you having this platform so that more and more people become educated in this space and really make a difference in their community. I think it's fantastic. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you for this beautiful conversation. And you have a lovely day, week, and weekend ahead.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.